The Golden State Warriors went from virtually making no moves throughout the summer to kicking it into overdrive around Media Day, with the addition of Al Horford, bringing back GP2, DeAnthony Melton, a former Warrior in Seth Curry, and reaching a short-term deal with Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors will be much improved for their 2026 campaign. They'll be a team that will at least make the playoffs, provided they stay healthy, and a team that at full strength can cause problems in the Western Conference. Be sure to leave a like, as that makes a massive difference for the channel, and sub for even more content like this. First things first, the Dubs got a big upgrade in the front court, since Al Horford is a better player and fits than Kevon Looney was last year. We'll never forget the 20 rebound performances in the NBA playoffs that Looney had, as well as the contributions that he had in the team winning 3 titles. But with Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and even Jonathan Kuminga occupying the floor for the team, having a non-spacing big is far from ideal. The Warriors did have Quinn in post, who is solid in his own right, but having another center that can stretch the floor and provide even more on both ends of the floor is a huge boost for the team. He's a good 3-point shooter who poses as a catch-and-shoot threat, being able to punish defenses for overhelping or sending multiple bodies at the ball handler. He can hit threes on kick-out opportunities, but also in pick-and-pop situations and when he trails behind the 3-point line in transition. He's going to greatly benefit in such instances, given the fact that Stephen Curry garners so much attention, but there are even more areas where he can be key offensively. Because of his respected shooting ability and defenders trying to contest a shot at the perimeter, Horford has the added ability to put the ball on the floor and attack those closeouts. Despite being 39 years of age, he can still run the floor well to be a finisher in transition, he can operate as a roller in the pick and roll, and he can score off of mismatches in the post. He's a cerebral player who's willingly moves off the ball to be found for easy looks and is an unselfish player, meaning that he fits into the Warriors system. But more importantly, he gives them the defensive ability they haven't had in a big man playing beside Draymond Green. Regardless of how you deploy him, he's going to make an impact because he's good at guarding the pick and roll, he's solid in drop coverage, and actually fares well on switches. You shouldn't be able to move this well laterally at age 38 or 39, but Horford has a good ability to stay in front of perimeter matchups and deter them from getting to the rim or make their shot attempts that much tougher. We all saw him on national TV against the Lakers, where he had possessions against both Luka Doncic and LeBron James of all people, and get stops. He's historically given Giannis and Joel Embiid problems in the playoffs, and he's even taken matchups such as Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and gotten a fair result. He has high IQ and is very disciplined on the defensive end while being able to guard the paint as well, and he and Draymond Green should form a nice defensive front court. Moving on to a returning player, DeAnthony Melton could have been an impactful player for the Warriors last season if he didn't unfortunately suffer that ACL injury. But with him in 2026, their backcourt just got better. When he's healthy, he's been one of the better defensive guards in the league due to his massive 6'8" wingspan, using that size to his advantage, and he is a good point of attack defender. He's active and can be a defensive playmaker, can also serve as a ball handler for you, and he is a solid outside shooter. He shot 36.1% from 3 on 5.7 attempts a game across his 2024 and 2025 seasons, and is a career 37% 3-point shooter on 4.1 attempts a game. The problem with Melton is that his last 2 seasons have been hampered by injury, with his back injury limiting him in his last season in Philly, and with the ACL injury cutting short his season in the Bay. But when he eventually returns, he and GP2 can definitely make an impact. Moving on to Jonathan Kuminga, the Warriors were finally able to strike a 2-year deal with him that includes a team option, and honestly, this is a good deal for both sides. Kuminga is essentially on a prove-it deal and is basically auditioning for his next team, so there's motivation for him to perform. And of course, a motivated and productive Kuminga could be an X factor for the Warriors. Kuminga is one of the most explosive athletes in the league who runs the floor exceptionally well, is a strong finisher at the rim, and we saw how productive he was in the latter half of the 2024 NBA season and in the 2025 playoffs against the Minnesota Timberwolves. However, the reason why the Warriors had a falling out with Kuminga was that he didn't necessarily fit their system. He could be a ball stopper and compromise ball movement, which obviously doesn't work well within a motion offense. He's not a great outside shooter, which not only could shrink the floor since opponents don't have to heavily guard him from the perimeter, but also limits the combination of lineups that Steve Kerr can realistically play with him on the floor. And with the Dubs acquiring Jimmy Butler, three non-spacers in Butler, Draymond, and Kuminga sharing the floor together would be far from ideal. Add in the lack of attention to detail on defense and his inability to impact the game the way GP2 or Moses Moody could in a reduced role, then you see why he was getting DNPs towards the end of the season. But this season will definitely be different because in order for Kuminga to get even more playing time and produce so he can get a larger deal when he hits free agency, he has to prove to Steve Kerr that he can play within this motion offense and be the impactful defender that he can be given his physical tools. If we don't see much progress in this pairing though, the Dubs can obviously still flip him by the trade deadline for another impact piece. Another reason why the Warriors will be better in 2026 is the internal improvement that they'll have and further continuity that they'll have with their veteran players. Teams don't usually acquire an all-star at the trade deadline and immediately win a title, given the adjustment period necessary to make operations work. Now with a full training camp under Steve Kerr, we should see a more cohesive unit this season with Jimmy Butler. With Butler, the Warriors were definitely a changed team due to the multiple ways in which he can impact the game. He rides rim pressure and can get to the line, and that aforementioned rim pressure creates opportunities for his teammates on drive and kick opportunities, dump offs in the paint, and having the vision to find cutting teammates. His playmaking ability to serve as a lead ball handler opens so much for Stephen Curry post the trade deadline, and I expect to see Stephen Curry to continue his All-NBA play even at age 37 and heading into age 38. Draymond Green is still impactful offensively while being an all-defensive caliber player. Moses Moody had the most impactful season of his career. Seth Curry provides you an outside shooter. Quinton Post gave the team floor spacing and quality minutes in the front court. And Buddy Hield is still a great outside shooter. Moreover, I think the biggest X factor for this team could be Brandon Podziemski, as I think that he could have a breakout season. After he dealt with injury and dizziness that hampered his performance in the first half of the season, he bounced back in a great way. He demonstrated his ability to relocate across the perimeter and hit catch and shoot looks, his ability to attack closeouts and get to his spots in mid-range, his ability to hit runners and floaters, his ability to score as a pick and roll ball handler, and his ability as a cutter. His self-creation ability has to take the next step in order for him to be a breakout star for this team, but I do expect AirPods to play a pivotal role this season. Overall, I think the Warriors will take a step in the right direction. They've definitely improved from a personnel perspective. They still have Stephen Curry, and I think that having this core back for another season will make them have a solid start compared to the whirlwind that they had last season, where they really stumbled into January before the Jimmy Butler trade. Guys, let me know your thoughts on the 2026 Golden State Warriors and how impactful you feel each offseason signing to be. What impact do you think Al Horford will have for the team? How impactful do you think Jonathan Kuminga will be in what's essentially a prove-it year for him? Do you think Brandon Podziemski will have a breakout season? And ultimately, how far do you see this team going in the 2026 season? Be sure to like and subscribe, as that makes a massive difference for the channel. And also, check out my last video on DeAndre Ayton and how he impacts the LA Lakers.